Hello again. As you may or may not know, I am Eli the computer guy, and I'm filming this from Niagara Falls, New York. Did you know there's a place, like a city, called Niagara Falls, New York? I honestly didn't realize that. I kind of thought Niagara Falls was in Buffalo, New York or something. But in fact, there is actually a city called Niagara Falls in New York, and that's where we're taping this from. I'm at the KOA here and just having an amazing time. If you have not been to Niagara Falls in your life, go to Niagara Falls. Though the one thing that I will tell you is if you go to Niagara Falls, make sure to go to the Canadian side of Niagara Falls, not the American side, because of course, the Canadian side is oh so much nicer. Actually, all snark aside, the Canadian side is much nicer of Niagara Falls simply because they have a better view. It's one of those weird things where it's like the falls themselves are on the US side, and so like when you're on the US side, you're standing beside the falls, whereas when you're on the Canadian side, you get to see the falls. So if you come here and you gotta go see Niagara Falls, make sure to go to the Canadian side. That really is the best way to go. We've been here a few days and we went to both sides, and all around, just Niagara Falls is an amazing thing. But anyways, you guys don't really want to know about Niagara Falls right now. What you guys want to know about is accepting charity as a tech professional. And I put that in quotation marks because I want to talk about that today, and I want to talk about some of your guys' self-destructive behaviors out there. And the reason I know they're self-destructive behaviors is because doing this whole Silicon Trailer thing and sitting down and talking with you guys, I see some of your wrong-headed opinions about how the world works, and I see how it's damaging you, and so I want to talk about it. So let's talk about charity today. Right? So in the American mindset, charity is basically looked down upon. Even if you receive charity, it is looked down upon. It's one of those weird things where charity is supposed to be one of those things where people who are successful give money to people that aren't successful, and it's supposed to be very uplifting. Of course, how America does everything is those things that are supposed to be uplifting and, you know, makes the heart feel better, we kind of twist it around and make it vulgar in this weird kind of way. And so instead of it being uplifting and heartfelt, it turns into, I don't know, just kind of this egotistical, just weird mush, right? You know, what's supposed to be given to people as a helping hand turns into more of an insult, which is something that Americans just seem to have a tendency of doing. I don't know what it is we take these very pure concepts and then we make them insulting somehow, and I don't really get it. And so charity is one of these things. Charity is supposed to be a pure concept. Charity is supposed to be a very good thing, and yet, like I say, we turn it into this weird little vulgar insult to the point that nobody wants to take charity. Taking charity is seen as a bad thing. Oh, you take charity, or being a charity case, right? Basically, people say, I don't want to take charity because if I take charity, that makes me look bad, and I don't want to look bad. But the problem is most of the people who need charity are not in a position to worry about looking bad in the first place. And so then you start spiraling down this horrible little cycle to hell, right? Because you have people that have gotten screwed in life for whatever reason. They may have screwed themselves in life, right? But they're screwed. They're in a bad position. They need a helping hand to get out of that position. And instead of taking a helping hand, they basically give everybody the middle finger. Everybody gets tired of them. And you know what I'm saying? It just gets really bad. So I've seen this a decent amount, going out and talking with people on the whole Silicon Trailer thing. And one of the things that I tell people is that they should all go and look at the public programs that are available to them. So a lot of people that come to me, basically they have issues that come up in life. Maybe they came from a life of poverty. I was talking with somebody the other day who just had a horrible medical condition happen to them. It really is a type of thing. And this is something, you know, I talked to you guys about health insurance, and I know a lot of you guys still think health insurance is a joke. It's not a joke. Get effing health insurance, because this person I was talking to the other day, again, very smart person, very trained person, was working on very high-tech, sophisticated stuff all the way until a health condition just what he was doing in life was over. And so one of the things I was talking to him about is like, well, you've got these issues. You're obviously on public assistance anyway at this point. So look at what public programs are available to you. Job training programs, internship programs, any kind of this thing. And the interesting thing is the person was like, yeah, well, you have to understand my political bent in life. I'm very conservative, and I just don't feel right accepting money, accepting that kind of charity. And then I was like kind of looking at the person, just wanting to rip out of the little bit of hair I have left, right? Because that doesn't help anybody. So the first thing that I want to do before we start talking about really getting the whole charity thing is I just want to talk about charity from a logical standpoint, from just a number standpoint, right? Before we get into anything that even gets anywhere remotely close to moral and ethical. So the first thing to think about whenever you're thinking about charity and whenever you're thinking about government assistance, right? If you have to go out there and get government assistance, is the first thing that you have to realize is that you or somebody else has already paid for this, right? Especially when we're talking about things like government assistance, Social Security, any kind of Job Corps or work program, right? This is something that has been paid. The government is not giving you this. This is not something where Uncle Sam up on his throne has said, I will give you work training because I believe you are a good person or whatever else. This is something that has been paid for. You most likely have paid for it. So I've seen this a lot, especially with professionals. You get pretty high-powered professionals. They're making a lot of money. Then something happens. They get a heart attack. Their loved one dies. They have who knows what happens, but something really bad happens, and basically it totally effing derails their career, right? And this is what happens in the real life. Everybody has this idea of your success in the professional world is all based upon your work ethic. If you work hard, you'll be successful, and if you don't work hard, you'll be screwed, right? Sometimes motherfuckers have a heart attack. And it's not, and the worst part is with things like heart attacks is the reason they had a heart attack is because they were working so hard to be successful so that they didn't have to worry about healthcare and all that kind of weird stuff, right? And so one of the problems that I see is you have these people that have been professionals, they've been making the paycheck, they've been paying all their taxes and everything, and all of a sudden, when it comes time for them to actually pull out that money, it's called, with SSI, it's Social Security Insurance. This is supposed to be an insurance program. So when they go to pull out that money, when it's time for them to pull out the money, they go, no, I'm not that type of person, Eli. No, I'm not the type of person that would accept that type of money. And I look at them, it's like, you're not the type of person to accept insurance money? If you have a car accident and your car insurance is going to pay the bill for it, do you say, no, I'm not going to accept the charity of my car insurance? If you have a heart attack and you have health insurance, the health insurance is about to write a $50,000 check for your hospital stay. You're gonna be like, no, I don't accept charity from the health insurance company. It's not charity. You paid in to the effing program. So the first thing for a lot of people out there, if you do come into bad straits and you need to use Social Security insurance, you need to use all these other workman's comp insurance and all these kind of things, these are insurance programs. You have paid into the program. You have an absolute and utter right to pull out of the program. Again, if you want to argue about whether or not our Social Security insurance should be as expensive as it is, if you want to argue about whether or not it is being dealt with in the optimum way, that it's being dealt with in the most efficient way, those are a whole bunch of arguments we can have, right? But the fact of the matter is you have in fact paid in the program. If you have been a professional and something has happened to you, there is nothing to look down on for you to accept payment. Again, if you get Aetna, if you have health insurance, if you have car insurance, if you have house insurance, if you have property insurance, if something happens, you get a check because you paid into that program. The exact same thing is true with these government programs. You have paid a crap ton of money into these programs. It is okay. It is absolutely okay for you to take money out. That's why you paid into the program. So the first thing to think about is if you're going to go out there, like say something's happened to you, take the money. You paid into the insurance. Again, as I said before, if you get into a car accident, You're not going to reject the car insurance check because it's some kind of charity, because it's something that you paid for. Simply because that's one of the problems I have with it, the whole tax system that we have in the United States right now, is so many things are automatic. So many things are things that you don't even think about, that you don't even really realize what the hell they are. Most of these are insurance programs. Something happens to you, you get paid for, right? So the first thing is if you've been successful in life, then something happens to you and you're down on your luck, take the damn money, right? It's your money, it really is, it is your money. Now the next thing to think about is, so okay, you say, well, that's somebody that's been professional and somebody's had a heart attack or whatever, but Eli, what about all these people? What about all these? I don't want to be one of these, you know, little ghetto rats who gets the money from the government and is just living off the government, right? Now here's one of the issues that I run into too, especially maybe me. I am a capitalist, but I also believe in social programs and all that. And I believe in social programs because from a capitalistic bent. It just effing makes sense, right? So here's what I want you guys to think about. So a lot of people out there, again, like I say, they come from, you know, the lower classes in our society, and so they don't want to take money. This is one of the sad things that I see again is they say, well, I don't want to take the government money because I don't want to be seen as one of those people. They look at all the news stations, they look at all the opinion pieces, and again, so much crap out there talks about anybody who takes money, anybody who takes government assistance is basically just garbage. Well, here's what I want you guys to think about, right? And here are some just very basic numbers to try to get your mind around. So in order to make an extra $10,000 a year, $10,000 a year, that is equal to approximately $5 per hour. So if you go from $10 an hour is like $20,000 a year to $15 an hour is $30,000 a year. All that is an extra $5 an hour, right? Now, in order to get an extra $5 an hour in the real business world isn't much of anything. The difference between $10 an hour to $15 an hour, $15 an hour to $20 an hour isn't really a big deal in the business world. I mean, that's the type of thing where business decision makers, they're just kind of sitting there and they're scratching their head and they're like, yeah, this position's worth $15 an hour, this position's worth $10 an hour, this position's worth $20 an hour, right? But that gives you an extra $10,000 a year. Now, what I want you to think about is, again, how our tax system works in the United States is we take out an extraordinary amount of taxes. One of the most ridiculous things that I hear, especially with a certain sector of the political establishment here in the United States, is this whole idea that the European system taxes people way too much, right? You hear that so much. Oh, we don't want any of that European taxation system. In the United States, we tax the hell out of our population. At the absolute minimum, you're looking at about 30% of your taxes of the money that you bring in taken out by the government. That's the absolute minimum. Places, you have all those insurances, you know, Social Security insurance, that kind of stuff. You have all those taxes, federal income tax. Most places have state income tax. But then even beyond that, you have things like property tax. So property tax in Baltimore County, where I'm from, is 1.25%. In Baltimore City, where I used to have a property, it's 2.25% of the value, right? So they want, you know, my house, they want $5,000 a year just in property taxes. Then beyond property taxes, then you have things like gas taxes. Beyond gas taxes, then you have, telecommunications taxes. You just have a tremendous amount of taxes, right? Just being conservative here, just throwing out a number that nobody can argue with me, we'll just say 30% of the income that you bring in gets taxed. And that is low, right? There's a good argument for the US system basically taxes us about 50% of our income. But we'll say 30% just so I don't get into any stupid arguments, right? So to take somebody and to get them basically a $5 an hour raise, which isn't that much. It's getting them a little extra training, it's getting them a college program, it's getting them through a certification program, whatever, right? $5, that's $10,000 a year. Which, if you look at the government taxation system, they're going to take at least 30%. And again, we're talking about at least 30%, which is $3,000 a year. Now, if you can get somebody up $5 an hour for their entire, for let's say 20 years. Let's not even say their entire career. Again, let's keep this very small, very logical. So you get somebody before they hit 40, you can raise the quality of what they're able to provide by $5 an hour, so that they have at least 20 years of work life where they're paying in taxes to the system, right? So if you take $3,000 a year times 20, that's $60,000 in taxes that's going to be able to pull out of these people's paychecks simply by being able to raise them by $5 an hour. This isn't $10 an hour, this isn't any huge number thing, and it's not the full tax thing, right? So if you take charity, if you take government assistance or any of this that where I don't want to take that, right? But you get at least $5 extra per hour for the next 20 years, the government is going to recoup at least $60,000 for that, right? So if you go to the government, and let's say the government pays for your MCSE program, or it pays for whatever your educational program is, and let's say it's $10,000 or $20,000, right? Again, there's going to be a certain political party that's going to talk about how you're just using the system and taking money out of the system, blah, 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 blah. But you take that $20,000, at the absolute minimum, the government's gonna profit 40 grand off of it, right? And so this is one of the things to be thinking about. Again, because a lot of people, I don't wanna take the money, I don't wanna be seen that way. I would much rather invest $10, $20, $30, $50,000 into somebody and then be able to pull a hell of a lot more out of taxes. Because again, $10 an hour, if you can take somebody from $20,000 a year to $50,000 a year, and again, I'm a business person, I talk with it, that's not like fucking mind-blowing. Sorry, I'm not supposed to swear. But that's not like mind-blowing. That's not like, oh my God. You can take an intelligent $20,000 a year person, put them through appropriate training, and make them worth $50,000 a year. $50,000 a year is not mind-blowing. But in 20 years, what did I say? What was $60,000 for 10, so that would be like $180,000 in taxes that the government would get out, right? So even if they paid $100,000 for your education, if they're pulling out $180,000 over the lifetime of your career, that sounds like a pretty good benefit. Not to mention all the other benefits that we get out of it. You know what I'm saying? So the two things that I really want you guys to think about when you're thinking about charities: one, if you've paid into the system, you've paid into the system, right? Take the money out. It's a-okay. If you haven't paid into the system, again, if you are smart, if you are hardworking, so on and so forth, take the money, get the education, get the training, make your life better, because guess what? The government's gonna take the money back at the end of the day, plus profit anyway, right? So that's the first thing I want you guys to think about. And this whole idea of charity and taking government assistance and taking money and all that kind of stuff, because it's just such a screwed up mentality where I see with a lot of you guys, where a lot of you guys, there are programs out there for you, but you're like, no, I want to do it on my own, Eli, I'm not one of those, and that's what I hate, those people. I'm not one of those people. I want to do it on my own. And you're like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love the attitude to a degree, but it is so self-destructive. Now, beyond government programs, one of the things that you should think about with charity too, is also look around and see what is available to you simply because of the person that you are, right? Are you part of a church group? Are you part of a temple? Do you work with any nonprofit organizations? You would be surprised how many of these religious organizations have things like educational programs and educational scholarships. Again, people are like, well, I don't want to take any money. Take it. Again, if you tithe 10%, believe me, your church would much prefer 10% out of a $100,000 a year salary than 10% out of a $30,000 a year salary, right? So a lot of places out there, like I say, you're part of some group, you're part of some organization that has things like scholarships. Again, take that money, use it for good. Beyond that, you may have family members that are in business, like you may know people that are CEOs, you may know people that run businesses and such. And one of the problems that I see so much is people say, I want to earn things on my own. I don't want anybody to think that nepotism had anything to do with my career success. Again, what I will say is life is hard enough. Your career is hard enough. If you have any benefit, if somebody is willing to give you a hand up in any way, shape, or form, take the hand up. You know what I'm saying? Like, so many people are like, no, I will not accept help from anybody else. And then you have to struggle through a decade of just misery and crap when you could have gotten through it relatively quickly and somebody could write in a check and it would have been no big deal. So these are some of the things that I want you guys to be thinking about charity. Now, when we're thinking about charity and we're thinking about government assistance programs, and you're thinking about actually, you're like, okay, that doesn't sound too bad, Eli. Well, how do I get these government assistance programs? One of the things you have to do is you have to go out and you have to take a look in your area. Again, as I talk to you guys about a lot in life and business and technology business, everything is situational. What is available to you in your area, I don't know. Especially here in the United States, every single state has different benefits programs. Every single state has different job training programs, depending on where you are economically. The federal government has different things, but I want you to go out there and I want you to take a look at what is available, because there are programs out there that will blow your mind and are just absolutely amazing. Like one of the programs that I dealt with, so back when I started everymanit.com and I was doing some in-person training, I actually had 2 people that came to work for me from Workman's Comp. And this is the type of program that really honestly effing exists, but nobody really thinks about. So the issue is workman's compensation here in the United States. This is an insurance program that everybody who is employed is supposed to be under, so that if you get injured on the job, you have some kind of insurance to help pay the bills and all that kind of stuff. As with everything in the United States, it sounds a hell of a lot better on paper than it is in real life, but it's better than nothing, right? Basically, you know, it's one of those, if you screw up your legs, if you screw up your back, and you're a laborer on a construction site, you're gonna get some money. It's not great money, but at least you won't starve to death. Well, one of the problems with workman's compensation is, as with everything, as with all insurance programs, they want to pay out over the smallest amount of time. So what they would really prefer is you get hurt, they pay you money for a couple of months, maybe a year, and then you get back off to working. Because as soon as you're working again, as soon as you're pulling a full-time paycheck, they don't have to pay you anymore. They're paying as long as you're not accepting a full-time paycheck. So one of the issues that they run into is a lot of people that are out there doing physical labor, they get hurt, and guess what? They can't go back to physical labor. So if you're a forklift operator, not only can you not, and you hurt yourself, not only can you not go back to being a forklift operator, but you probably can't go back to being a truck driver, and you can't go to being a warehouse person. There's a whole bunch of jobs out there that you can't do that are physically intensive. You hurt your back, therefore anything that involves you moving your back isn't gonna work out. So, Workman's Comp approached me way back when, and they had a really interesting program. So they were trying to take these people that had been physical laborers and get them into the technology world. The reason being, if you have screwed up knees and you got screwed up backs, you know, in the technology world, we're just gonna plop your butt into a chair and then it doesn't matter anymore. You know, if you be a coder, if you're being an IT guy, if you be whatever else, Workman's Comp doesn't care, just as long as you're making a full-time salary so that they can dump you off of the compensation system, right? So what Workman's Comp did, and this is very, very interesting, one of those things to think about, is in order to try to get people off the workman's compensation rolls, what Workman's Comp will do is they will pay employers to hire people to do tech jobs with the hope that at the end of it, that you will think about hiring them. So depending on which workman's compensation program it was, the people that I dealt with, I think it was 3 to 6 months, where workman's compensation would pay their salary. So I bring them on board. This is an internship position. This isn't a volunteership position. I bring them on board as an employee. I can work them just like I work anybody else. Take out the trash, you know, fix computers, whatever. Again, this isn't like one of those weird IRS things where you have to be careful about. They come on as an employee. All that happens is at the end of the week, I sign off that they work 30, 40, however many hours with me, and then workman's compensation simply writes them the check for that salary. The reason is because Workmen's Compensation hopes that after I've had them on board for 3 months or 6 months, I see how wonderful they are, I bring them on as a normal employee, and everybody's happy. I get an employee that I know is good, they get these people off workman's comp rolls, and the employee that you have now has a real job that they can go on to the future. And so this is a program that really exists out there. So one of the things to think about, like I say, is if you're on workman's compensation, see if those programs are available, and then go approach companies to see if they will hire you. The 2 people that came to me, that was one of them. I think they found me, and another, it was a confusing story. But basically, that's the thing. So if your workman's compensation program has this, you can take that information, and then you can go to a computer repair shop. You can go to a web development company. You can go to any of these tech companies and say, hey, guess what? I will come and be your employee for 3 to 6 months, and you don't have to pay me a dime. They're gonna be like, what? I don't know about this. You say, no, I'm not an intern. I'm not a volunteer. You don't have to worry about all those weird ass rules with the IRS. Workman's compensation is paying my salary. They will pay my salary to come and do 40 hours a week. Wow. You know, that sounds pretty good, right? So that's one of the programs that I know is available. Beyond that, I know like in cities especially, like in Baltimore City, back in the day, I don't know if they still have it now, but they actually had programs where they would pay the entire bill for the MCSE program, Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer back in the day. They would pay the entire bill for that program for any city resident. Again, it's Baltimore City. What's the biggest problem with Baltimore City? They have a lot of people that don't make very much money. Believe me, Baltimore City taxes the ever-loving hell out of everybody. But if you're only making $20,000 a year, you know, you can only tax a turnip so much, right? If they can get you making more money, if they can get you making $50,000 or $60,000 a year, it's much better to tax somebody making $60,000 a year than it is to tax somebody making $20,000 a year. So they had a program out there where basically they would pay. You go, you apply for the program, you jump through a few hoops, and they paid for the entire MCSE program back in the day. So these are the types of things that I want you to think about, and these are real programs that have existed, right? Again, I don't know what exactly is going on now, I don't know what's going on in your area, but this is something for you guys to really think about, because I know a lot of you guys out there, you know, I talk about money, I talk about this program is $10,000, and this program is $5,000, and this college degree is $40,000, and you go, well, Eli, that's nice, but I don't have that much money. And then you go sit on your thumbs, right? Sitting on your thumbs doesn't get you anywhere. Sitting on your thumbs is not going to make you $5 more an hour, you know. It's not going to make anybody any money. So one of the things to think about is, you know, when I talk about all these programs out there, I talk about the money on the table. One of the things is if you can't afford it, then go and look at what programs are available for somebody like you. Again, if you are a minority, there are programs available out there for you. If you go to church, it's kind of like being gay. It's like with Christian. If I could be Christian, I would. You know what I'm saying? Like oh my God, the Christians have a lot of really good programs out there. And so that's one of the things to think about. If you are a Christian, go to your church and see what scholarships are available. You would be shocked. You will be surprised how many scholarships and opportunities are available for you. If you're one of the other religious groups, go out there, see what's available. Again, I know like with like my buddy who's in he's an Indian, right? And they have their own whole system for loaning people money. It is amazing. I've actually seen him write out, you know, $10,000 and $20,000 checks because there's simply an expectation that when somebody asks you for help, you will give them money. So they've got their whole little community going on, and if Raja or whatever the hell his name, you know, needs $50,000 to go to college, everybody gets a phone call and you're expected to give $5,000, and you will do it. Because when you need help in the future, you'll get $5,000 from everybody else, right? And so that's something to be thinking about, is go out and take a look and see what is available to you. Because too many people, again, I don't want to be shared. I don't want to be like those people. And you're like, what? How does that help anybody? You know what I'm saying? So you're not going to accept $10,000 now. You're not going to accept the $10,000 benefit now because you don't want to be looked down upon. When that $10,000 benefit, if you accept it now, over the long haul is going to bring you and society just exponentially more money. How does that work for anybody? You know what I'm saying? This is just like one of those things that just really It frustrates me sometimes. And again, and I mean, it's so bad. It's so bad. You see this with people that have even paid into the system. I have talked with a number of people who have paid a lot of money into the system. They had successful jobs. They paid a lot of taxes. They paid a lot of money into these insurance programs. And then when it comes time for them to take money out, oh, no, you don't understand, Eli. You don't understand, Eli. I'm not one of those people. I'm not one of those people that takes money from the system. Like, but you paid into the system. You paid a lot of money into the system. A lot of money into the system. So that's one thing I want you guys to think about. Again, as I do Silicon Trailer, as I go out and I talk with people, I see some of these issues that are happening in the real world, and this is something that I see in the real world. Again, good people, motivated people, people that can really build something in this world, and yet, you know, finances happen. Again, in the United States, right or wrong, I'm not going into it. This is a capitalistic society. It's all about money. It is about cash. You bring cash to the table, you can make something happen. If you don't bring cash to the table, you're screwed. That's just how it is, right? So if somebody is out there and they're willing to give you cash in order to move your career ahead, take it. Take it, accept it, understand you will pay it back in the future. That is supposed to be how charity works. Again, what I really dislike with a modern society is things that were supposed to be pure, things that were supposed to be honorable, things that were supposed to warm your heart and make you feel as if you're, you know, humanity is a good thing, somehow have been perverted. I mean, how is charity now considered just one of the absolute worst insults in the world? You know, to take charity just means that you're below garbage. That's crap, right? That is crap unto itself. Take the charity so that you can make your life better, so that in 10 years you can be giving charity and go from there. Again, that is the thing. If you take other people's money and then you never give back to society, then you're a piece of crap. But take money now, make your life better, be successful, and then in the future be able to give money back. Again, as I tell you guys, you know, get all these people out there that talk about me being greedy. Oh, Eli, you're just a greedy content creator. All you're talking about, you know, money, money, money. All you want is money. All you talk about is money, greedy, capital, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, and you know what? Again, in the past 2 years, I've written $15,000 in checks to nonprofit organizations for things that I support. You know, the Baltimore Robotics Center, coding in the schools, the Red Cross, that kind of stuff. I was able to write $15,000 in checks because I have money, right? So when you're not doing well, take the help that is offered, whether it's charity, whether it's government assistance programs, whether it's religious assistance programs, whether it's, you know, you have a family friend that's a CEO of a company, whatever resources you have available, take the charity. Just realize you have to pay it forward in the future. You know, in the future, in 10 years, you have to pay it forward. But right now, take it, make your life better. $20,000 a year. You know, trying to raise a family off $20,000 a year doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help you, it doesn't help your kids, it doesn't help your spouse, it doesn't help society. You know, so that's it. So take charity. I just see it. Like I said, I see some of these people and they're like, Eli, I won't do that. And you're like, what? You won't make your life better? You won't make your life better, do something for society that society feels is better, therefore you make more money, therefore you can pay more taxes, right? Again, you know, you look at Obamacare, or you look at the whole healthcare scheme in the United States right now, and it's kind of funny because whether you're a Democrat or whether a Republican, at the end of the day you have to make more money, right? And you're like, what do you mean? Right. Well, if you're Republican, right, you've got to make more money because you've got to pay for your own damn health care, right? Republicans believe you have to pay for your own health care. So in order to pay for your own health care, you got to make more money. That makes sense. But if you're a Democrat, you got to make more money because Democrats believe that if you don't have enough money, somebody else should pay for you. And therefore that comes out of taxes, which means you've got to make more money so that you can pay enough taxes so that somebody else gets their health insurance. So again, I know that sounds really smart ass, but it really is true. Whether you're Republican or Democrat, at the end of the day, everybody agrees you got to make more money. Either you got to make more money to pay for your own damn health care, or you got to make more money to help pay for somebody else's health care, but at the end of the day, you got to make more money. So take charity. With that, we will call it a day, and we'll finish my Folgers coffee. I've gone to drinking Folgers coffee right now. Which is, I don't know really what to make of that. I guess the RV life is changing me already. I've gone from Whole Foods, organic, you know, pure coffee to I'm actually Folgers. Though I do have to say, I like the price of Folgers coffee. I do have to say, like when you start shopping at normal grocery stores after you've spent years shopping at Whole Foods, you realize the price difference. I mean, the fact that I got like, I don't even know what the hell it is. I got like a gallon paint jug of coffee for like $8. It's amazing. That's amazing. But yeah, so I'll go finish drinking my Folgers coffee and get ready for traveling off to South Dakota tomorrow. So again, you know, my wife and I are just traveling around the country, just seeing what's around. And so right now, again, like I say, we're in Niagara Falls, New York, and tomorrow we're going to start the journey 3 straight days to get out to the Black Hills of South Dakota. Because really, there's not a lot. Again, you know, we talk about things like, I talk to you guys about the real world technology, and one of the things is just to realize there's just not a lot between like the coasts. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you know, we're in here in Niagara Falls, we're in New York, and we're gonna go all the way from New York to South Dakota, and it's just gonna be about like 15,000 miles, basically cornfields. You're going to see lots and lots and lots of cornfields, and there's really not going to be a lot in between. There's going to be Chicago. I would like to stay in Chicago. Unfortunately, Chicago doesn't have any real RV parks that are inside Chicago, so we're not going to stay there. But otherwise, we're just booking straight from New York all the way to the edge of South Dakota. That's going to be a long trip, 1,500 miles of driving. Oh. But anyways, with that, I will call it a night. But seriously, take charity. If somebody is willing to offer you help, take it. Take it.
School teacher named Annie Taylor originally recorded this story free. Annie Taylor was in reality 62 years old.